So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom, and finally a chance to have a game on the table. So I thought, as I had threatened on several occasions on my various videos, that I would do a game using the Bruce's in Ireland project figures. Now, I've painted up rather more than I actually realised when I see them all laid out, and I've basically made up a game using everything I've painted, because that seems a good way to start, because it gives me an idea about what else I might want to paint. And I know I've got a couple of units still to do, but it gives me a good chance to also play out with the modifications I put in place for the rules. I'll put a link in the description if I can work out how to do it, where you can download the rules if anybody's interested, or the army lists anyway. The rules I'm going to be using are Hail Caesar version 2, if I don't get too confused. So let's just have a look at the troops first of all. I've done it very straightforwardly, as I say, just basically went through everything I had and sort of tried to subdivide it out relatively evenly, but with logic around it. So each army have two battles. So we'll start with the Scots. Overall commander is obviously Edward Bruce here, so he will be the overall CNC. Here we have Angus MacDonald, who is commanding the first battle, and that comprised of two pike blocks of veteran Scottish foot spearmen. They'll count as phalanxes, and they've got all sorts of the twiddly bits with them. What are they? They are stubborn and phalanx. We've also got a small unit of mounted knights who have a lance. We've got some dismounted men-at-arms who are stubborn, tough, valiant, and all sorts of stuff. We've got some galloglass here, hairy-arsed Highland types here with two-handed axes and so forth. Unit of kerns with javelin, and then a small unit of kerns with sling. And then the second command will be mainly Irish troops. So we've got a unit of bowmen, another small unit of slingers, some light cavalry, 2 units of javelin kern, a small unit of mounted sergeants, and another unit of galloglass here. So that will be the combined Scots-Irish force, and they'll be coming on the far side over there. We'll have them in two battles. One will be, I'll decide which way round I'll put it, but one will be left to centre and one will be right to centre. Seems fairly sensible and easy. Over here, this is the Anglo-Irish force. So let's start down the other end. So overall commander is Roger Mortimer. He is the CNC, and one of his first battle is composed of a unit of Boniacs, a unit of billmen, a unit of longbowmen, a small unit of Kernish slingers, and 2 javelin kern units, and then some press-ganged villagers at the back there. So that's one battle, and this is the second battle. We've got some mounted sergeants, we've got some mounted knights, a small unit of them, or men-at-arms as they would probably be at this period. We've got 2 units of dismounted men-at-arms, and 2 units of kerns, and then a unit of light infantry bowmen. And they'll be starting on this side of the table. Again, one to the left of centre, one to the right of centre. I've just laid out the terrain fairly sort of like a village scene, really. It's an early clash. It just gives me an excuse to try out the rules and to try out the figures. So you can see nothing really is going to play any significant part. There's some hedges and what have you. This will be an open wood, so it won't slow movement, but will give some cover. Hedges are soft cover. Over there's another wood. Forget the vineyard, which is going to be put away. There's another wood in the middle here. These buildings are not accessible. They are just there to block line of sight, so forth. Over here, some ploughed fields which will slow movement, with some hedges which will give soft cover. And then if it plays any part, there's another wood and some hills out on that flank. So there you go. So I am going to start up with all the commanders are going to be level 8. And I'll come back when everything's on the table with the first move, I think. Right, everything's deployed on the table. If it's not making you too sick, look at that battle line. And there's the Scots lined up over there. So basically I've deployed everybody 6 inches onto the table. In readiness, I put the 2, so you've got the 2 battles basically here and here, for the English side and Anglo side, and then on the Scottish side basically it splits where Bruce is himself, is where the battle lines, so to speak, finish. So there's 2 battalia on each side, which is probably a bit big, but I just fancied getting every figure out, so there you go. There's a couple of bases still remaining, a couple of commanders still remaining, but yeah, should be fun. So I'm going to determine who gets first activation. Dice, that would help. So the Anglos roll a 5. Oops, the Scots roll a 5. Of course they do. Let's try that again. English 3, Scots. Tumbleweed moment. English, Scots. Right, the English go first. So I will be back with the first turn. Right, let's start down this end of the table. First of all, the Kerns, 2 units in Kerns plus the Boniacs on the Anglo-Irish side got 3 moves off. Actually, quite good moves actually for the Anglo-Irish. They got 3 moves off, but because of the hedges, that'll be hedges, Dom. They were slowed down, so they only moved forward that far. In the centre here, basically in the centre here, the Earl of Sutherland moved up the rest of his command pretty much. They got 2 moves off. There's something wrong there. No, that's right. Basically moved up because this orchard doesn't slow movement, so that's why they were able to move as far as the guys beside them. The longbowmen have just done a very obvious thing of lining the hedges. You've got the billmen beside them, and then the villagers out here picking fruits and turnips and things out of the ploughed field. Into the centre, this little sling unit managed to get off 3 moves, and because it wasn't slowed by any terrain, got right up to there. However, slings only have a 12-inch range, so we're not in range yet to fire, which is disappointing. Over here on the right wing, I decided this one would be the more attacking one, and I thought the left will be more holding. So a line of Kerns, well, 2 Kern units and an Archer unit moved forward 3 moves. They were backed up by both units of the foot sergeants, men-at-arms. We've got some serious punch. Now they did fail the first attempt, but luckily Mortimer was just here, so he was able to re-roll, and they got 3 moves off on their second attempt, so that's why they're up as far as they are. Kerns are just on the edge of the woods there. Over here the mounted sergeants were going to head off to the flank, but they only got 1 move off, so that's as far as they got because they got stopped by the hedges. And the knights decided in true knightly fashion just to wait and see what happens. So nobody could fire, nothing's in range. The longbow actually under these rules have 20-inch range as opposed to regular archers which have 12, which is quite an advantage actually. Sorry, 20 versus 18 is actually what I should have said. But even so, well, they've got a great hill in the way here, so there's no way they can shoot at anything. I don't think these ones are in range. Let me just see. No, not in range because those are archers. So that's the end of the Anglo-Irish first turn. We'll see how the Scots respond. Okay, so nowhere near as good a turn for the Scots. In the centre here, the Kerns, basically, and the light infantry moved forward as a group. They got 3 orders off and rushed forward to confront their compatriots there. This group was obviously slowed because of the hedges. The other 2 managed to get right up into the grill of the woods there. What else happened on this flank? Oh, that was it really. They then went to move the light cavalry out to threaten the flank there of the English, but it failed. Now, I was thinking about a re-roll using the commander, but it was like the second roll, so I thought it was too early, so I didn't bother. Don't know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. We shall see. What else happened over on this? Oh, so then we'll come back to that one. So over here, basically, the entire Scottish centre decided to do a battalion order and move forward, but only rolled for 1 move. So they've just literally moved forward 1 6-inch block. Cavalry went with them. Out here on the wing, I tried to move these 2 separately. They also only got 1 move each, so that's where they finished up. That left the mounted sergeants and the Gelaglass who hadn't moved. So the CNC Bruce ordered these fellas forward. Again, they only moved 1 move, so there you go. That's where it ends up. Actually, did they get 2 moves off? I lied, 2 moves off. So we're up to shooting. Now there can be some shooting here. So we have a unit of Kerns armed with javelin. They are going to fire at the slingers behind the hedge there. They would get 3 dice, hitting on a 4. The range is only short, so that's fine. 6 inches, they're in range. But I'm going to give the slingers cover. So 5s to hit. 1 6. So those 2 missed. The 6 is a potential hit. Now I don't think Kern slingers have any morale, so they have no saving roll, so that's automatically a hit. It is also under Hail Caesar a break test, so any 6s. They rolled a 4. That's not good. Retreat disordered. Okay, that's what they'll have to do. Now if they were light infantry, I'm counting these as sort of blocks rather than skirmishers. If they were skirmishers, that would have been a whole lot worse, but I've decided all my kerns and everything, because it's more in keeping with the style of warfare, they're going to be blocks. So they're not going to be terribly effective when they take fire, or as it transpires, receive fire. So anyway, let's put a marker on those in a minute. Over here, so we've got some archers here who can, I'm going to say they can see those guys on the crossroads in front of them, because that's a fairly open wood, but I am going to give cover. So the archers here, plus I think these slingers, will all have to fire at that kern unit. The slingers will fire with 2 shots, and the archers with 3 shots. So let's start with the archers. They will be hitting on a 4, 4 cover 5. Nothing at all. 2, 2 and a 1. The slingers will also be hitting on a 5. And they missed 2, so nothing, no effect at all there. Over here, these javelin are out of range. Everything else is out of range. So that is the end of turn 1. Okay, that was an interesting turn for the Anglo-Irish. So let's start where it all started, which was in the centre here. The Kerns, backed up by a unit of sergeants, decided to charge the opposition archers there. They failed the first time, But the CNC is right there, so they took a re-roll and got, well, I think they got 3 moves off, but enough anyway to crash into those archers. And that was pretty much the high spot of the Anglo-Irish turn. The other kerns there, backed up by their archers that are there, moved up to support and also to put some fire on the boys there. But the cavalry here failed to move, as did these, because that was their brigade order over with. So that meant both the cavalry here and also this unit of sergeants didn't move anywhere. The slingers are here disordered and had to fall back with a 1 wound. Over on this flank, not an awful lot happened either. After last turn where everything moved really quickly, the kerns moved out here, got 2 moves I think it was, out, no, maybe only 1 move actually out to the flank. But the next move was supposed to be these kerns to move forward, and they failed. And because I've used the commander reroll, that meant nothing else could move over on this battle. So the left wing will sit and wait for the Bruces to turn up in force in the centre there. So we'll do some shooting. I think shooting. Yes. Well, we need to do the response to the charge, don't we? That's probably the first thing to do. So those are. Let's put the camera where you can vaguely see what's going on. Those are archers. They get 2 shooting dice. Sorry, 3 shooting dice because it's a regular unit. They are firing a target. I can't really say they're partially obscured because they came rushing through the trees. So it's -1 for closing shots. So they are hitting on a 3. Oh, my goodness me! Look at that, freshly painted lead syndrome. So they missed. Nothing hit at all on the closing fire. So that's all that's happened there. So we'll come back for the combat in a minute. Let's move over to this wing. I've just picked up a tree with a camera. Let's come over to this wing over here. The archers here will fire at the kerns that are opposite them. We're going to get 3 dice hitting on a 5 because of cover. A 6 and 2 misses. So the kerns, I do believe, do have a saving throw. I think I gave them a saving throw. Yeah, all of 6. So they don't pass. So they take a wound. And they have to do a break test. In Hail Caesar, you get hit by missiles with a 6. Unless you needed a 6 to hit, in which case you need 2 6s. So the break test is also a 4, which is what the slingers rolled, I think. Retreat disordered. Interesting. Okay. So let me go around that way because I can't quite see what's going on. So they'll fall back. Well, only 3 because they're slowed by all the terrain here. So there. Put the disordered marker on those fellas. Now that means, well, probably those, probably the kerns there will have to fire at the slingers anyway. I don't think they have a closer target. So it's 3 shots. It's close range, however, hitting on a 3, but back up to a 4 because they're obscured by the trees and everything. It's only 1 hit on the slingers. Slingers don't have any saving roll. So that's 1 dead. So that's the shooting on this wing. So we've got the disordered slingers here. They are in range of the kerns lining the hedge. However, they are disordered. They're in cover. So 6 is to hit. Nothing. Now I think actually the longbowmen are now in opportunity here. Yeah, they're in range. So the longbowmen have 3 shots. They will be hitting on, it's extreme range and they're in cover, so they're hitting on 6s. No, nothing at all. And I think that's all the shooting we've got. So we'll come on to the fisticuffs over here. Okay, so in the combat here, we've got the Kerns charging from the English side. They have 5 dice for their clash. They will be hitting on 3 because they charged. They are supported by the dismounted men-at-arms, who add 3 more dice into the mix. And I think that's probably it for them. On the defending side, the Scottish have the archers, who are 4 dice. They are backed up by the slingers, who have 2 dice. So the English will be hitting, I'm going to say English for the time being, the Anglo-Irish, but English will be hitting on a 3 because they charged and everything else. Actually no, the supports don't count as charging, I don't think. I think they're just supports. So first lot on 3s, the next will be on 4s. Goodness me. Oh, that's not too bad in the end, but should have been a lot worse, a lot better. So that's 3 hits. Crikey, fighting around my way around the camera here. 3 hits with the Kerns, and then the men-at-arms behind. They hit on 4s, so that's another 1. So, sorry, no, 2. So that's 4 hits. 4 hits on the Irish archers. Now, archers do not have any saving rolls, so they lose all 4 casualties straight away. So we'll mark that there. Fighting back, the slingers and the archers will both be hitting on 4s because there's nothing, no modifiers at all with them. And they roll pretty darn good. Actually, yeah, very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 5 hits with against the allies. The Kerns are saving on a 6. They save 2 miraculously, so they take 3 casualties versus the 4. So, upshot of that is that the Kerns win by 1. So they lost by 1. They are also now shaken. So they are taking a morale test at 1 over. So -1 on the dice. They rolled a 6, which goes down to a 5. Give ground disordered together with supports. So they are pushed back. Now the Kerns are shaken as well, but they don't need to take a test because they won the melee. So that was a victory to the Kerns. I'll put the markers on and then we'll come back with the Scottish turn 2. Right, so turn 2 was a bit of a, not a great turn for the Scots again. Ulster ordered his Gallaglass to charge the shaken Kerns over there because they're just outside of automatic initiative move, and also they're across to the side, so I'm not sure they could do anyway. Initiative moves is straight forward or straight back, but either way they failed with the first turn. The CNC is right next to them, so they took a reroll and failed again. So that meant the entire Ulster left wing stays exactly where it is. Doesn't move at all, which is a bit of a bugger. Over here in the centre, there's a bit more success. This is Angus. He managed to get off 3 moves with the centre. So the pike and the men-at-arms rushed forward with the slingers. The other pike block was slowed by the hedging there, so couldn't keep up. But that was good. And then out here on the wing, this group got the Gilglass here, only got 1 move off, as did the Kerns. And then just because he's slightly worried about what's going on in the centre here, he swung the cavalry, the mounted knights, across to cover that flank. So that was it for the movement. Now shooting wise, we've got the little group of slingers there to fire on the English archers. There's only 2 dice. They'll be hitting on what's the range? Let's see, what's the range? Yeah, I think they're in effective range. So it'll be hitting on 5s. Oh, they get a 6 and a 5, so 2 hits on the English. They have a morale of 4. They saved 1 and lost 1. However, it is a break test for them. But they rolled an 8. Hold an 8, which is hold your ground without penalty. So good shoot from the slingers, though, that's for sure. No other shooting on this wing. You've got the Kerns here. They're out of arc to fire that way, and they're out of range to fire. I think it's just 6 inches. Yeah, they're out of range of the boys that they shot away, so they can't fire. Over here, these archers who are shaken anyway are behind the hill, so they can't fire. The small unit slingers, they're intact. They've only got 1 wound on them, so they can fire at the guys in the wood there. However, it's long range and cover, so 2 dice needing 6s. Nothing at all. And then I think the other disordered ones here are out of range as well, so I'll take that disorder off because it comes off at the end of the turn. And that is all for the Scottish turn 2. So I'll be back with Anglo-Irish turn 3. Alright, so a really dramatic third turn for the Anglo-Irish, I think. First up, the shaken Kerns did an initiative test to fall back through the foot sergeants that were behind them. Now, there was a risk attached to that because the sergeants needed to then test to see whether they were disordered by the fact they were being interpenetrated by shaken friends. Well, I think it's just any friends, to be fair. They need to roll a 4, 5 or a 6. They rolled a 4. So they were perfectly fine. Now the reason why I did that, I think, was because I was less concerned about them being charged, even disordered. So I thought it was worth the risk to get those shaken Kerns out the way. And it allowed then the foot sergeants to charge the Kerns that are there from the Scottish side. Now they couldn't do it as initiative because they would have had to have done that first, so they had to dice for it, and they were really up for it. They got 3 moves, so they only needed 1 and they were straight in there. Meanwhile, their brethren came up in support, filling the gap there. The other unit of Anglo-Irish Kerns moved up onto the hill to put some pressure on those shaken archers back there. And over here, the mounted sergeants decided not to go through the ploughed field, but moved up in support because it looks like there's an opportunity here against all these all these light troops, effectively, in the middle for the Scots. The mounted knights moved up to threaten the flank of the Scottish pikemen, and the English or Anglo-Irish slingers turned to put some fire into the flank of their brethren over there. Over on this flank, well, this was a weird one. So I wasn't actually going to do anything terribly aggressive. I was just going to bring the Kerns up here to support. But I diced for the Boniacs first, and they got 3 moves. So they went through their Kerns, again managing to pass the test. And then because they had another 2 moves, they were unable to charge into the foot sergeants. And then the Kerns moved up to support them. So, yeah, wasn't really what I had in mind, but it gives me an opportunity to see how Boniacs do against foot sergeants. Nothing else moved in the middle here because there was no point. And then the Kerns out here on the flank moved out and got into the sunken road to try and put some pressure on their opposite numbers. Now, one rule I have given the Kerns in this adaptation of Hail Caesar is that they have marauder capability, because it seems to fit within their sort of hit and run kind of tactics of the Irish troops in this period, so that's why they can operate, this unit can operate so far away from its commanding base. So yeah, I think that is it for now. So we'll do some shooting first. Obviously these foot knights are receiving the charge, so they can't, there's no shooting anyway for them, so no shooting along here. The billmen obviously can't shoot because they got bills. Yep, that'd be why. We've got the archers and the slingers against the Scottish slingers, which could be a little bit painful for them, I should imagine. But they're there just to sort of block up the stop the Scottish pikemen getting shot at. So that is within 6. So 3 dice for the archers. They will be hitting on a 4. A 6 and a 5 and a 2. Sorry, I should have rolled that on camera. 6, 5 and a 2. So that's 2 hits on the Kernish slingers. They have no saving roll, so they take 2 losses. So they are shaken. They also need to do a break test. But they rolled 12. So 12 means they're perfectly fine, obviously. I thought there might be some insane bravery, but there isn't. So they're shaken, but they are fine. And then the 2 the slingers over here. Again, let's look at the range. Just about 6 inches. So that's going to be 2 shots needing 4s as well. It's another hit and another break test. Should they need to do another break test in the well, they're going to have to do a break test anyway because they're 1 over. So let's see whether they can get away with it. An 8, a 1 over, which makes it a 7. So they can hold their ground disordered or retreat in good order. I think they'll retreat in good order because that would seem to be the logical thing to do. So they're going to head back to there. Also, it clears the space for the pikemen if they want to come through. So that is that. We've got some defensive fire for the Kerns, receiving the charge from the dismounted knights. It's 3 shots. They will be hitting on a 3 because it's a closing fire. 3 hits. Wow. 3 hits including a 6. Dismounted knights have a morale of 4. They save 2 of them. They still get 1 hit on the, so I'll put that there so I know it's there, and they'll need to do a break test for taking a 6, but they've rolled 9, so they're absolutely fine. So we'll do that melee in a minute. So we've got the Anglo-Irish Kerns that come up onto the hill. They'll get 3 shots down into those shaken archers down there. We'll be hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits, including a 6. They do get a saving roll, and they save 1 of them, so that's useful for them because that only puts them 1 over their shake value. However, they will have to do a break test. They roll a 9 down to an 8, which I think will be absolutely fine. Yeah, hold your ground without penalty. So they got away with that. And then moving over, what else we got? Oh, the archers. And the archers over here will fire at the javelin men opposite them. It's going to be 3. 4 cover 5. Huh. Very unimpressive firing of 2 1s and a 3. So that is all the shooting, I think. We've just got 2 melees. So let's start, because it's the Anglo-Irish turn, let's start on the one they've got the best chance with, which is this one here. We've got the foot sergeants charging in. They are pretty meaty. They get 7 dice. The Kerns only get 5 dice. So the foot soldiers are charging, so they're hitting on 3s. That's the only modifier. There's nobody else to support this charge. Oh, blimey. That was a pretty lousy roll. Got 4 hits out of that. So we'll put that as a marker. Oh, I might as well do the saving rolls. So 4 saves of 6. We saved 1, so they actually only took 3 casualties, which is quite miraculous, really. And then the Kerns fight with 5. They're hitting on 4s. They get 3 too. Men at arms have 4 saving roll. They only saved 1, so they suffer 2 casualties, which puts them on 3. I think I just made the Kerns shake too quickly. I've just realised I'm playing black powder in my head, so the in Hail Caesar you have a lot more stamina. Silly boy, silly boy. Okay, I need to try and remember where we were with that. So I think then I need to put some extra casualties out. So another one on the slingers there, another one on the shaken boys there, and another one on this on the Anglo-Irish shaken. I'm so used to playing black powder. I've of course in Hail Caesar the stamina is so much higher because it's a hand-to-hand combat. So Kerns have 6 stamina, so they don't get shaken until they get to 6. So these fellows are not shaken by this at all. So they're on 3. The knights are on 3 as well. However, the knights are 1 by 1. There's no supports either side to join the combat. So the Kerns do a test at -1. They roll an 8, which is give ground in good order together with supports. So they fall back. How far are they going to go? They go 6 inches as a move back. So I think they're going to have to go behind all the way back here. Now I don't think the foot knights will follow up, mainly because there's a load of knights sitting there and some hairy ass Highlanders there, so they'll stay exactly where they are. So it wasn't quite the dramatic charge we were expecting there for the foot soldiers, foot knights. And then moving over here, we've got another charge. So we've got the Boniacs, well, Bonacs I should say. Somebody will be getting very angry with my pronunciation. They get 7 dice. The enemy foot soldiers, foot knights, they also get 7 dice. 2, 4, 6. Need 1 more dice. So 7v7. The Boniacs have have 2-handed weapons, however. Yeah, they're pretty pokey. What does a 2-handed weapon do? Okay, so 2-handed weapons basically means the maximum save is 5+. So we'll reduce the armour of the knights that they're fighting, or the foot sergeants they're fighting. So 7 dice, rolling 3 to hit. Lousy roll again. 3 hits. That was all they got out of that. Let's do the saving rolls while we're here. So the as I said, the knights would normally be saving on a 4. but they're down to a 5 because of the fact they're being hit by two-handed weapons. Still save 1. So they take 2 casualties. They will fight back with 7 dice themselves. They'll be hitting on 4s. Whoops. They get 3 hits as well. So 3 hits. Bonnacks are also saving on 4s. I think I might reduce that in the final rules because I think they shouldn't be as heavily armoured. So they save 2. But then they do say in the rules the armour is not a reflection of just pure armour, or saving roll is not purely saving roll against armour. It's also sort of general toughness, how they can resist, dodgeability, that kind of stuff. So anyway, the upshot of that is 1 casualty on them. Oh, now they can get support from the Kerns. I forgot. The Kerns will also support. They only get 3 dice in support. They will hit on a 4 though. Just 1 more casualty. Now this won't be lowered, so it's a save at 4, which they don't do, so that's another casualty. So javelins arcing over the top means that the knights take 3 casualties overall versus 1. So they lose by 2. However, they are stubborn, so they don't need to test. Oh, hang on. They're also tough fighters. I'd forgotten that. So they get 1 reroll, which misses anyway, so it's irrelevant. Got to remember that they're tough fighters and stubborn. Those dismounted sergeants. They're real grizzly veterans. So the upshot was that they lost by 2 though, but because they're stubborn, they don't need to take a test, and so we stay locked in. However, the Bonnacks have the advantage from the previous round. And that's the end of turn 3 for the Anglo-Irish. So, a bit of thinking to do for the Scots. Apologies with the stamina thing, I completely forgot about that. I'm playing black powder in my head. So a standard unit in Hellseever has 6 stamina, so effectively 6 wounds, as opposed to like 3 in black powder. So I think I've remembered the different ones. I am playing this a separate another day on, but I think I remember which units had taken the extra casualties. So if I didn't, I'm sure it was balanced either way. I probably cocked it up for both sides. Anyway, onwards and upwards. I'll be back with the Scottish turn. Right, so over on the Scots side of the table, an interesting turn again, I think. Starting on the right, what happened? The pikemen charged forward into the billmen, who are on the hedge line there, which could be an interesting fight. The slingers, who weren't shaken because of the extra fatigues that they can take, move forward in support. The other pike block tried to charge the longbowmen, but only got 1 turn and needed 2, so ended up there. But actually that's quite good because it's supporting its compatriots. And then to cover the flank of them, I moved the knights forward. They were trying to get as many moves as they could, and if possible to charge either the slingers or the enemy men-at-arms, but they only got 1 move, so they just moved up to the hedge there, which is as far as they got. Otherwise, over here, this is a unit of Gelaglass. They moved up in support of the Foot Knights, so now they can provide support there, which hopefully will give the Foot Knights a bit of a chance. And then the Kerns that were going to move up and pepper the enemy Kerns over there failed to move, so I didn't bother with a reroll for them. Meanwhile, on this flank, I debated whether originally to charge the Knights or the Galaglass into the Foot Sergeants. In the end, I thought the Galaglass would be better, purely because I could bring the Kerns up in support, and that's duly what happened. So we've got the Kerns and the Galaglass charging in on the Foot Sergeants, so that could be an interesting fight. In the middle, not much happened. I did debate Well, now this unit is not shaken. It's only one off being shaken, but it's still not shaken. So it might as well fire with the combination with the slingers there against that Kern unit. Over here, the Irish Light Cavalry moved up to throw some javelins at the archers, as did the Kerns to move up, and so you got 2 on 1 there. So again, I did debate charging those archers, but then with the heavy cavalry behind, I thought that's probably not a sensible move. And then the Scottish heavy cavalry failed their move, so they didn't move off the baseline, as they've been all game, really. I had used a re-roll to get those Kerns moving, which is why I couldn't use it on the cavalry. So shooting, let's start over there. So we've got the light cavalry there, who have got javelins. They got 3 dice. They are up against the hedge, so I can't give the hedge to the archers. So they're just hitting on 3s. Sorry, 4s even. They got 1 hit. It was a 6, however. I don't believe the archers have got any saving roll. They don't, so that's instantly a wound. They wanted to do a break test. They roll a 10, so I think they're fine with that. Then the Irish Kerns, or the Scottish Irish Kerns, will fire. They are also up against the hedge line, so I'm not going to give any cover to the English. We'll also be hitting on 4s. They get another hit, so that's another wound. So not quite the most devastating barrage, but that's kind of what I want with these rules. I don't want lots of shooting. The Kerns were more annoyance than anything else in this period, from what I've read, so I think that works reasonably well. Down here, we've got 2 dice of slings, who will be hitting on 4s. They get 1 hit. The Kerns do get a saving roll, but they don't make it. So that's 1 casualty on that unit. And then the archers here get 3 dice hitting on 4s. Ooh, all 3 hits, including a 6. And none are saved. So that was a slightly more devastating volley. So 3 wounds. Puts them on 4 in total. And then the Kerns will need to do a break test, but they roll 7, which is going to be fine for them. Move back to the there's no defensive fire here for the foot sergeants because they haven't got any missile weapons, so we'll come back to that combat in a minute. Over here, so the longbow can't fire because they will be supporting the billman. Likewise the slingers will be, so there's no shooting there, no shooting here, so I think we're just straight into the melees. Yeah, straight into the melees. So we'll start, just because we're here, on the foot sergeant, supported by the Galaglass now. It's not much much support, but it all helps. So we have 7. Now it's sustained now because it's no longer the charge. So the knights stay on 7. This is where they have a big advantage, actually. And the Boniacs, oh no, they're also 7. Okay. Not sure I necessarily agree with that, but there you go. That's what the rules said, and this is part of it to tweak it as we go forward. So 7v7. The Boniacs get +1 because they are get an advantage because they are following up. I didn't put any casualties on the Boniacs. They suffered 2, didn't they? Pretty sure it was 2. Haven't put any casualty markers on them. That was pretty remiss of me. And I've forgotten already how many they suffered. All right. So they will roll for the Boniacs. They are hitting on 3s. Whew, not a great roll again. Just 3 hits. Just 3 hits. Now they are being hit by 200 weapons, so 5s to save for the knights. They only save 1. So they lose 2 casualties. You mark that there. Then the Kerns supporting are 3 dice. They'll be hitting on 4s. They only get 1. That's a saving roll of 4 for the which is saved, so no effect there. Fighting back, the Scottish Sergeants are hitting on 4s. They only do 3. Oh, in fact, they only do 2. Boniacs save on 4s. Don't save either, however. So that's 2. And then the Galglass over here will provide 2 dice of support, hitting on 4s. They don't do anything either. So that's a flat up draw. Evens, honours even, 2 losses apiece. No benefits from anything else. So that will continue another round, but nobody has advantage. So it's a proper slog going on there. So the Boniacs are on 4 losses, the Foot Sergeants are on 5. Still both valid as units. Over here in the middle, or middle right, shall we say, the Scottish Pikemen will go in on the Billmen. Okay, so Billmen get a bonus save, I believe. So we'll start with the Scots. They get 7 dice. 3, 6, 7. The Billmen also get 7. The Scottish, let me just double check. Yeah, so they are Scottish are stubborn and phalanx. Now I looked up phalanx rule. Basically, there's all sorts of rules about being charged, but for the chargee, even if they lose by 2 casualties, they still consider it a draw, which is quite a nice advantage. So we'll start with the Scots. They get 7 dice. They're charging, so they're needing a 3. Wow, that's a pretty good roll. They got 5 hits. The Billmen are saving on 4s. Oh, they did pretty well. They saved 3 of them, so they only lost 2 men. 2 casualties. Oh, put it there for the moment. 2 casualties. There's also a unit of slingers, Kern slingers. They can provide 2 support dice. They will be hitting on 4s. Oh, hang on! I've just realised I should have done. Actually, it didn't matter. The Billmen would have been saving on 3 because they get 1 for the cover. Now they actually the only ones they missed on the previous rolls were a 1 and a 2, so it wouldn't have made any difference. So both the slingers hit. Saving rolls for the Billmen behind the thing. They saved both of those. Now I think also the other pipe block can support, so they get 3 dice because they're supporting on the other side. So 3 dice hitting on 4s, nothing at all. So the upshot of that, the Billmen, hardy yeomanry that they are, just take 2 casualties. They will fight back with 7 dice hitting on 4s. Only 2 hits. Only 2 hits. The Scots are saving on a 4. They saved them both. That's pretty good. Then the Longbowmen can support on the other side. They get 3 dice. Hitting on 4s. They get 1 hit. Can the Scots save that too? So they actually end up winning that combat by 2-1 against the Billmen. I'll put the casualties back there. 2-0. So the Billmen will need to do a break test. They roll a 7, so that will continue into next round. So we'll just put the arrow pointing forward so we know that the Scots won that combat. Very good indeed. Alright, battery change and I'll be back. Right, next up we've got the Galglass, the other unit Galglass, charging in against the Foot Sergeants. Should be an interesting fight. The Scots will get support from the Kerns. So we've got, I know what it is, 7v7 again. There's a theme here. So the Scots will be hitting on... now they are wild fighters. Hang on. Wow, so they are wild fighters, which basically gives them a re-roll for every miss in the first round. So, and they are equipped with two-handed weapons as well. So this could be quite nasty for those foot sergeants. So there'll be 7 dice needing 3s to hit. They got, oh blimey, am I rolling this morning? Is terrible. Just 3 out of that, but they do get to re-roll those 4 because of wild fighters, and that's more like it. They hit with all 7 in the end. All 7 hits. The Allied troops, or the English troops, would save on a 4, but because they're being hit by two-handed swords and things, it's a 5. Still rolled pretty well there. They saved 3 of them, so 4 go through, which is enough to make them shaken with the 3 casualties they already had. Let's see, also we've got 3 Kernish javelins arcing their way over, hitting on 4s. All 3 hit. That's a bit worrying for the foot sergeants. They have a saving roll of 4 though for them. Another casualty though, so they're up to 5 casualties from this charge. They fight back with 7 dice, and they are tough fighters, so they get to re-roll 1 fail. Hitting on 4s. Oh, it was a pretty good round for them actually. They did 5 hits, 2 failures, we re-roll 1, and that's another one, 6 hits. Crikey. 6 hits against the Galglas, who have a saving roll of 4. 2, 4, 6, needing 4s. And they fail them all. So they actually end up losing 6 casualties. Wow, that was monumentally bad for the Scots. So, upshot of that is the Scots lose the combat by 1, but both sides are shaken. Let me just double check. Right, so just checking that out. So the rules are that if you start the combat shaken, then you need to do a break test afterwards. So the only break test that needs to happen is for the Scottish side, because they lost the combat by 1. So it is 2d6 minus 1. They rolled an 8, which down to a 7. Give ground in good order together with supports. That's probably a good result for them, to be fair. Although, shockingly bad dice roll for them. So, they fall back. Their supports go with them. Let's go with them. And, what did we say? 6 casualties on those. That wasn't quite what we were expecting there. I thought with all those dice, with the wild charge and everything, but just shows that without the just wild charging without worrying about their own protection, and they suffered for it. So 6 casualties on them, and they are shaken. And it was 5 casualties on those, so they are also up to 6, because it goes back down again, and they are shaken 2. So they can't follow up, not that I probably want to anyway, but they've seen off a wild charge by the Scottish nutters. So the end of turn 3, we've got engagements. Well, we had got engagements right across the line. We've got the Galaglas supporting the Scottish foot sergeants against the Boniacs supported by the Kerns. And the peasantry are sitting in the back saying, we don't really want to get involved in this, please. You've got the pikemen, Scottish veteran pikemen have smashed into the billmen and are beginning to push them back. Meanwhile, the other group's moving up in support to take on the hated Irish English bowmen. And you've got the knights facing off over here. Didn't go so well here for the Scots. Obviously, the Galglass bounced off the foot sergeants, but this is a fairly inconclusive load of shooting going on around here. But the English have got some more foot knights coming through, and also their heavy cavalry at the back there moving forward, whereas the Scots have only got this small unit of heavy cavalry which refuses to move. So there you go, that's the end of turn 3. We'll be back with turn 4. Right, Anglo-Irish turn 4, and the highlight probably was the twin charges of the men-at-arms, mounted men-at-arms, hating each other. The Anglo-Irish against the Scottish men-at-arms. The English obviously initiated it. They got two moves off. The Scots rolled to countercharge and therefore met there. Now there's a small advantage to the English in that because of the countercharge it actually puts the slingers here in support. But that is probably the only thing going for that. Otherwise it's just a straight up smorgasbord of smack each other over the heads with lances and axes and maces and good stuff like that. Over here the villagers were corralled into pulling back and supporting the billmen, just to try and help put their weight behind the billmen to stop those pikemen pushing over the hedge. Out there on the wing, those kerns have decided that they're just going to keep an eye on each other. They didn't want to move either, so that stays exactly as it is. Nothing else moved on this side of the table. Over here, what happened? Let's start with the cavalry. The cavalry decided they would try and charge the light cavalry that are in front of them, sort of to the side of them, but because of the hedging they couldn't make contact. They needed 3 moves, they got 2, so that's as far as they got. What else happened? Slight risk move, which we can't see because of the trees. A slightly risky move maybe. The English Earl moved up and rallied off one of the wounds off these foot knights, so they're no longer shaken. I say it's a slight risk because once the cavalry, Scottish cavalry, were gone, they're only up against shaken troops or light troops. So I think they're pretty safe that even if they were charged, the general wouldn't give them any grief. I just realised I forgot to move a unit. Well, I'm not sure they could have gone anywhere. This foot sergeant unit, I wasn't sure where they were going. I wouldn't risk pushing them. Maybe we'll try that actually. I'm a decent opponent, so I'm going to say they're going to try and move up. They need 2 moves to charge into those shaken Gallo-glass, assuming that they get through the. They only get 1 move, so basically they pop forward in front of those boys. Which is probably not a bad thing for them, to be fair. And we'll have to see whether the supporters are disordered by that. They are. So, so these fellows are disordered as a result of the other knights moving forward, but it doesn't matter. That won't really play any part. But next turn, the Scots are going to have to do something about those fresh unit of knights moving, or men-at-arms moving forward. So that's the end of the movement. So let's see if we've got any shooting. Not really any shooting at all, because these archers are supporting this combat. These slingers are supporting that combat. So the next... Whoops, sorry. I'm waggling around. The next one will be this unit of javelinmen will keep up the pressure on the archers down below them. So they're still intact. They've still got 3 dice hitting on 4s. They get 2 hits. Archers don't have any saving rolls, so that's 2 losses on the so that puts them on 2, 4, 6, 7, 1 over the shake. So they are going to need to do a break test. Roll the dice for them. A 6. So that is a hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. I think they're going to stay disordered. No, they're not. They're going to retreat. That's a silly move. It's better that they retreat and pull back, because it allows a gap for these cavalry potentially to move forward. Now back here shaken. So next up, we've got, move around here, got the unit of archers. I think they're going to fire at, well, I think their priority target has got to be against the Kerns. So they get 3 shots, hitting on, Kerns have got cover really there, so it's hitting on 5s. No hits at all, so no result, no joy. That is the end of shooting. Sorry, I have a slurp of coffee, and we're on to melees. Shall we start with the knights clashing? Now they are both small units, so they've both got lances, so that will deduct 1 off their saving rolls. So let's see, we've got 7 dice apiece. They're both going to be hitting on 3s because they're charging. There's no difference in them at all. They are both tough fighters, both stubborn and both valiant. So what's Valiant do? I think Valiant's move. They move on the. I probably did the English out of a move there, because I think if they Valiant allows them to move when they fail a test, I think. Oh, okay, so Valiant means they can re-roll a break result on a test. Okay, that's useful. Right, so let's start with the English. They get 7 dice hitting on a 3. Blimey, they hit all of them. The Scottish Knights will also roll 7 dice hitting on a 3. They only get 4, but they get 1 re-roll, which doesn't hit either. So 4v3, plus the English get 2 sling supports, which will be hitting on 4s. So that's 2 hits there as well. Right, let's work this out. So let's start with the English. The 4 hits on the English. They normally would be saving on a 4, but because of the lance, it's a 5. They saved 2. Wow, English Knights are up for this. That's a result of 2 for them. 2 casualties. The Scottish suffer 7 hits, saving roll of 5. They only saved 2. That's 5 initially, plus the 2 from the slingers, who are saving on 4s. However, they only save 1 of those. So the upshot of that is they suffer 6 losses versus 2 on the Anglo Knights. They definitely lose that melee. Boy, do they lose that melee. 4-2. Seems to happen a lot in these sort of rules. So they are stubborn and they are valiant. So they will need to do a test on their morale. So they lost that combat by 4. Yeah, just making sure of that. I'm not confusing black powder. So there is the difference between the casualties. So they're at -4 on their roll. So let's see. They rolled a 7, which will become a 3, which would be a break. However, they are valiant. So let's blow their stubborn first of all, which gives them a re-roll. This time they rolled an 11. That's a much better result. So they would be that's 4 off that, which brings it down to a 7. Give ground disordered together with supports. That's a far better result for them. Far better result. So they will drop back. Let's measure it, because it could be quite important. 9 inches back to there. I suppose it should have been less because of the hedge line there. They're probably just basically back to where they started from there. And the double bad news for them is they have a stamina of 4 because they're only a small unit, so they are actually shaken as a result of that. Right, just double check the rules. So this unit is allowed to do an advance, a victory move after the combat. However, it's not allowed to make contact unless their opponents were destroyed or routed. Clearly these guys, because they managed to survive that, were not defeated, were not broken. So it's not a fresh charge. They can follow up. So I think I'd love them to charge these fellas, but they can't. So all they're going to do is follow up on the shaken men-at-arms. Probably more authentic for them anyway, given the fact that they are they want to get after their brethren. I'll mark up the casualties in a minute. So they got 2 and the Scottish are on 4. So that's the charges over this side. Let's move over to over here. This mass melee going on. Push a pike. So the pikemen, Scottish pikemen, they get 7 dice for sustained. They will also get support from their brethren, give them 3 more dice, and they've also got the slingers behind, which give them 2 more dice. So they've got 7, 10, 12 dice. However, the factors will be different. So the pikemen, they won the last round. They will be hitting on 3s as a result of that. Wow, very nice. That was 5 hits from them. Then the supporting troops will be both. So I've got 5 dice hitting on 4s for the supports. Wow, they get 3 hits as well. So we've got a total of 8 hits on the billmen. 8 hits. They do get +1 because they're still behind the hedge there. So they will be saving on a 3. I do not believe that roll. Wow. Just 1 failure. Look at that. Wow. So the billmen take 1 loss. That is all. I'll put that there to remind myself. So the returning fighting. We've got 7 for the billmen. Do they still have 7 on sustained? Yeah, they do. They also get 3 for the archers, and the peasants. The peasants will add 2 more. So 11 dice. No, same. 12. 12 dice as well in return. However, everything's going to be at 4s because. Yeah, they lost the round, so everything's at 4s. So we've got 2, 4, 6 hits. 6 hits. Saving rolls of 4. Blimey, 4 losses. So, that was not so good for the Scots this turn. So 4 plays 1 as a result. Nobody's shaken, nobody's tired, and nobody's disordered either. However, the Scots will need to do a break test at... now, pikemen, if they lose by 2, would be a draw, but they've actually lost by 3, so they will need to do a break test at -3. Ouch! Dude, they've just thrown double 6. Double 6. I think that will be down to a 12 would be down to a 9. Hold your ground without penalty. So with amazing morale, they hold their ground. We'll mark up some casualties in a minute, but it's 4 casualties on the pike and 1 on the billman. but the billman considered to have won that last round. So that swings the protection of the hedge. The pike has obviously got themselves all caught up in the hedgerows. Let's move over to the next battle. So the next fight is over here. We've got the Boniacs against the Foot Knights, supported by the Galglass, and they're supported by the Kerns. So we'll start with because it's the English turn. It was a draw last round, wasn't it? Yeah. So we'll start with this. The Boniacs, they have 7 sustained. 2, 4, 6, 7. And then they get 3 for the Kerns behind them. So that's 10 dice hitting on 4s. Wow. Actually 4 1s out of that, but the rest were hits. So we got 2, 4, 6 hits in total. 6 hits. Let's do the saving rolls. I need to do them separately because the Boniacs got 200 weapons. Start that one again. That's annoying. 7 hits for the Boniacs hitting on 4s. They get, not so good this time, 3 hits. 3 hits. And then 3 for the Kerns behind, who get 2 hits. So 3 hits for the guys with 200 axes. They save 1 of them, so they take 2, and then 2 with the Kerns that was saving on their full 4 value. I save both of those, so only 2 hits on the Scottish Knights. The Scottish fight back with 7 dice, and plus they get the support of 2 from the from the Galgau over here. They will be hitting on, well, they are the same result, so they'll be hitting on 4s. Whoops. Take this 3 away, so that's 2, 4, 6 hits on the English. Their saving roll is a 4. They save 3 of them, so they take 3 losses. So they lost the combat by 3. 3 to 2, which means they need to do a break test. Oh, and they're also now shaken because they had 4 losses before, and now they are 1 over. However, so are the Scots. They're on 5 at the moment. They've just taken 2 more, so they're shaken too. It's a bit brutal. The English need to take a break test. They rolled a 6. They lost by 1, so that becomes a 5, which is give ground together with supports. So they will all fall back. However, both sides are shaken, but that does leave the opportunity open for leave that dice there, sorry, mark it up. So the upshot of that combat is these guys are shaken, but these aren't, so they've got a rather nice charge onto their opposite numbers here, which could turn the tide beautifully on this flank. Meanwhile, over on this side, obviously the Anglo-Irish have had much better results. This big fight going on here between the pike and the billmen and the archers and the villagers. It was the villagers that helped, I think, is going to and fro. The English knights had much more of it against their brethren on the Scottish side and smashed them up nicely. Over here the centre is looking a little bit dodgy for the Scots, but over here is just a load of skirmishing. So I'll put the markers down and I'll be back with Scottish turn 4. So an interesting turn for the Scots this time round. So start out on the left flank. The Kerns charge the archers. I think that was the sensible thing to do. They're better at hand to hand, and with those English knights or English sergeants coming round, I think that was probably the sensible thing to do. Try and clear the archers out the way before the inevitable clash of heavy cavalry against light cavalry, which probably won't be so good for the Scots. The Scots are just good. I did debate whether to move away their light cavalry to charge them. In the end, I decided they would just stand and try and shoot at the English men-at-arms, or English sergeants. Over here, the Scottish mounted sergeants tried to charge the kerns on the hill. However, they only got one charge, only one move. They needed two, so that's as far as they got. Over here, the King of Ulster moved and took a wound off the Galliacs, Gallaglass even. So they're no longer shaken, but they're still on 5 losses. The kerns that were behind came round to the flank to try and put some fire on those boys there. Nothing could happen over here because this is all existing combat now. You can't, if you're using troops as supports, they can't then charge. They're considered to be part of the combat, so they are what they are. So there's nothing else changes here. Now over here, the Gallaglass that were here wanted to charge the shaken English Boniacs. However, they needed 2 moves, they only got 1. I did re-roll it, and they still only got 1. So they moved forward as far as they can. However, the Lord has removed a wound from the Scottish dismounted men-at-arms, so they're no longer shaken. And over here, the completely pointless kern face-off. The Scottish kerns decided to move forward to try and put some javelins on their brethren on the hedge line there. Probably isn't the best move in the world because they've got cover and the other ones haven't, or they haven't got cover and the other ones have. So let's do some shooting though. It's going to be 3 dice needing 5s. Just the 1 hit. They're saving on a 5 because of cover. No, so they do put a wound on the opposite numbers. There's no shooting here, no shooting here, no shooting here. The javelins from these guys, I think they'll fire. Well, I could argue they could fire at the shaken guys. Well, they're no longer shaken, so, but they are disordered. Yeah, let's try and shoot those fellas. So 3 shots hitting on 4s. 2 hits including a 6, so it's a good result. Saving rolls, they saved 1 of them. So they're back to being shaken again, and they will have to do a break test. They roll an 8, so that's fine. Stay where they are. No shooting here, no shooting here. I don't think these guys can really shoot with the cavalry right in their arc. So we've just got 2 dice of slings against those kerns on the hill. They will be hitting on 4s. It's 1 hit, which is actually saved miraculously. Over on the flank, the cavalry, so they get 3 dice. Don't the English get cover there, so it's just going to be hitting on 4s. Wow, 2 hits, including a double 6 actually. Saving on 5. Saved 1, but it is a test. But a 9 will be absolutely no problem at all for them. Just gets their gander up. We might as well do defensive fire for the archers being charged there. They will be 3 dice hitting on 3s. Just the 1 hit, which they do not save. So another loss on the kerns as they come in. Might as well do that combat while we're here. Should be fairly one-sided, I think. Kerns get 5 dice. The archers get 4 dice. So the kerns are charging. They get they need 3s to hit. So 3 hits. No saving roll on that. So that's 3 losses. Archers, not really. I should have probably evaded with them, but nah. Yeah, probably should have evaded with them. Never mind. 4 losses, 4 shots. Well, actually, see, this is the problem. I'm not sure because I don't want lots of light infantry in this. I want sort of blocks of troops because I think that's more reflective of the nature of how they fought in Ireland. So I think maybe I will give them a saving roll in future. Maybe give them a 6. Anyway, they haven't at the moment. So 4 fights back with their with a bowman, hitting on 4s. That's just 1 hit, which is not saved. So the archers lose 2 to 1. So they need a break test at -2. Rolling well though. An 8 goes down to a 6. Give ground in good order with supports. They haven't got any supports, so it's just to give ground. And I think the Kerns will follow up. They might as well, and they get an advantage. So actually the Kerns are on 3 losses. The the English archers are on 5. Scottish, well, it's the Scottish turn, so I think they want to do the big fight first, rather than doing the one that they probably like to lose. So the Scottish, so we'll continue that fight. It's 7 dice for the Scots. 2, 4, 6, 7. They get support of 2 from the slingers behind, and they get 3. No, it's just. I should remember, we do it every turn. 3 from their compatriots. Now, because they lost the last round, they're all hitting on 4s. There's no modifiers, so everything's on 4s. Let's roll all that. Not a bad roll. Well, lots of 3s actually. Yeah, still over the odds. They got 2, 4, 6, 8 hits on the bill. 8 hits on the bill. They will be saving on 3s because they've still got cover. They lose 4 as a result of that. So I'll put that there to remind myself. 4 dice. The bills fight back with 7 dice. 2, 4, 6, 7, plus 3 for the archers and 2 for the villagers behind. I'll dice them separately because they're different results, because the billmen won the melee, so they're hitting on 3s. They get 5 hits, and then the 5 supports hitting on 4s, another 3 hits, so that's 8 hits in total on the Scottish pikemen, who have a saving roll of 4. Wow, they only lost 1. That's all they lost as a result of that combat. Wow, that's huge. So they are now up to 2, 4, 5. 1 more would have put them shaken. The billmen, however, are now shaken. Swings and roundabouts, that one. So they're on 5. They're on shaken, and they lost the combat by 3, even though they won the previous one. So it was a redoubling of the effort by the pikemen to push hard. The billmen are rolling at -3. Ah, as you can probably tell, that's not so good. They rolled a 5, which goes down to a 3, which is break if shaken. Break if shaken, so they are shaken. Give ground together with an order disorder. So basically they break, everything else gives ground and is disordered. Wow, that's a real nip and tuck, that fight. Went backwards and forwards, and finally the pike managed to exert their veteran status and pushed forward and yeah, broke the billman. Wow. And I think that's it for this turn. So I'll clear up mess and we'll start Anglo-Irish turn 5. Oh no, we haven't done the cavalry yet, have we? Hang on, let's come back to all that in a minute. The cavalry. Yeah, can't forget that. So now then, this is where the cavalry have a huge advantage because they have charged, whereas the Scottish ones are having to receive the charge at the halt. So 2, 4, 6, 7 dice for the English, only 4 for the Scots because knights receiving a charge is not so good. 7 dice hitting on 3s. They all hit. The Scottish knights roll a... they get 2 hits. They get 2 hits. So let's do the casualties for the English. 2 hits needing 4s. They saved them both. The Scottish... well, they did pretty well. Actually, it's 1 off because the lance still counts because it's a charge on the follow-up. So... well, they still diced pretty well there. They suffered 4 losses, so they lose by 4. They rolled an 8, which is a 4, which will be a break if shaken. Otherwise, give good order. They are shaken already, so they're going to try and burn their. Did they use their stubborn? Didn't they? No. Did they use their stubborn? Yeah, I think they did use their stubborn, so they're going to use their valiant. So once a turn, they can opt to use that. Once a game, sorry. So they've burned both stubborn and valiant, but it does mean they hold on. But it does mean the English have an advantage next round. All right, I think that is it. I thought the English were definitely on the ups, but that win against the hedgeline there has pushed it back the other way. And this still has pretty good chance of going either way, this battle, I would say. So we're back with turn 5 for the English. Right, turn 5, Anglo-Irish turn. I can't help feeling this turn 5 is going to be the deciding turn for this game. So starting out on the left flank, nothing much happened here. The Anglo-Irish Kerns decided they're probably in a better place behind that hedge, rather than charging across and making contact with their opposite numbers, so they're going to just stay where they are. Over here, it's a tricky one. Obviously the Galaglass come charging across the field towards them is a scary sight, so the Boniacs decided discretion was better part of valour and pulled back behind the hedge here, but they are still shaken, which obviously because they moved prevented their general trying to rally off, and the Kerns have lined the hedge line to try and attract the attention of the Gilgal. I'm not sure that's necessarily the best move, but I think that's all they could do. Over here in the centre, obviously these two groups, because they had to fall back last turn and were disordered, means they can't really do anything this go. And over here the slingers just moved out a little bit wider to try and get some flank shots on the Scottish spearmen. Don't know why I couldn't think of that word, but I couldn't. Over here, in the end, I decided, because the Gilgal are obviously on quite a lot of wounds, and the Anglo-Irish foot sergeants are fresh, that they're going to charge home. Now, it does mean they will get support from the Kerns, but I think that was a better option to do. Once again, the general rallied off another wound off these guys, so that again they're no longer shaken, and at least this means they're not going to get shot at again this turn. Over in the oops, I've just knocked the triggers over. Over here, the Kerns on the hill decided that they're going to get charged at some point by those heavy cavalry, so they've charged into the slingers below them, which should go well for them, although they are 2 off getting shaken themselves, so could be a bit wobbly. Haven't been able to do anything about these shaken boys back here because the commander's been busy rallying other things. This pursuit move, I think I probably should have done another round of fighting last turn, but never mind, we'll do it this turn. And the Anglo-Irish mounted sergeants charged the light cavalry, who countercharged. Did debate about evading, but there's no guarantee you'll get away in these rules, and I think we're just trying to tie things up. So lots of combat going on. I don't think there's going to be much shooting. Obviously no shooting there, no shooting here. So maybe we'll just start with the combats first. Sort of medium-ish cavalry against light cavalry here. So the mounted sergeants, crikey, they get 8 dice. Wow, more effective than I thought they were. It's because they're a normal size unit. That seems a bit strong. Anyway, it is what it is. That's what it says in the book. I've taken the stats straight out of the new army list for medievals in Hail Caesar 2. So they got 2, 4, 6, 8 dice. The light cavalry have 7. Oh, they're still fairly effective, even as lights. 3, 6, 7. So it probably was a good idea to charge. Obviously the saving rolls are different. So the English have 8 dice. They will be hitting on a 3. Oops, that's a cocked dice. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7 hits. 7 hits. 7 hits. The Irish are needing 3s as well because they countercharged. Another cocked dice, in fact 2 cocked dice there. Don't throw them in amongst the fields, it obviously mucks it up. So they also were hitting hard, so they hit with 6 hits. So 2, 4, 6, 7 versus 6. Right, so the Irish, however, their saving roll is only 6. So they only save 1. So they suffer 6 losses. 2, 4, 6 losses. Brutal. The English, they have armour 5. They suffer. They save none. So that is a flat out 6v6 bloodbath. Wow. Both units are shaken. They're all up to their maximum straight away off the bat. I'm running out of dice, so I'm going to put a big tank dice there so I remember. In fact, that means the English would be 1 over, but it was a draw in the combat. They didn't start the combat shaken, so it just stays exactly as it is. We fight on next round with no advantage. We have the Kerns charging, following up against the excuse me, following up against the archers. The Kerns get 5 dice, the archers get 4 dice. Scottish, they're charging, so they get 3. Well, the counter's charging. They hit with 4. See whether and the archers actually don't have any saving rolls, so it's instantly 4 hits, and they fight back with 4. We need all of them to go through to stand a chance here. They only get 2, but both are hits. So there's 2 more wounds on the Kerns, so they're up to 5, but they did win the combat by 2. So it's a test at -2. They rolled a 6, which is a 4. Which is break if shaken, otherwise give ground together with supports. So they are now shaken, so they break. They are gone. Another Anglo-Irish force bites the dust. Okay. Thought this turn was going to be colourful. So the archers are down. Right, let's move on over the far side there. You can just about see it through the... Zoom in a bit. We've got the slingers. They received a charge, so they're going to fire at the kerns coming at them. They get 2 dice, hitting on a 3. They hit with both. One was saved, however. So the kerns going on. Oh, that was lucky for them. They're not quite shaken. They get 5 dice. And the slingers get only 2 dice. Because they're a small unit and they're rubbish. So 5s needing 3. They get 4 hits. And the slingers have no savings throws, so that's 4 kills. And 2 back. They get 1. Can it be saved? No. So the kerns are disordered. However, they won by 4. So it's a break test at -4. Sorry, -3. Yeah, they won by 3. It was 4 plays 1. So they rolled a 5. Give ground disordered with supports. So let's just go and move those. However, they are also shaken because they only have 4 stamina because they're a small unit. So they will retreat behind the cavalry there, and they'll be disordered and shaken. And the kerns in front of them are also shaken. So they can't follow up. So the kerns can't follow up because they're shaken. Otherwise they could have tried to charge the heavy cavalry, which might have been a good chance, them stationary. But they are shaken themselves, so they're in a little bit of trouble there. Moving across, still no shooting, so we just might as well carry on with the hand-to-hand. So over in the corner there, we've got the foot knights against the Galaglass. So, okay, so they still count their full strike value even though they've been charged, which means the Scottish get 8 dice, the English get 7. So the English are and then the kerns can provide support, so they get 3 dice support. So there's a lot more dice coming the way of the English here. So the English 7 dice, they are charging, and they are tough fighters. So they get 1 reroll. They're needing 3s to hit. Whew. They got 6 hits with 1 reroll. 6 hits against the Scottish, who will save on a 4. Oh, that was awful. Rolled 4 1s, a 3 and a 4. So they only saved 1 of them, so that's 5 hits on the Scottish. See whether they can do any good back. They have got turned-in weapons at least, so they've got 8 dice fighting back. Oh dear. Needed 4s and they only got 3 hits. They're really not up for this fight. 3 hits, and then their supports from the kerns, which are 3 dice needing 4s. They get 1 more with them. So a saving throw for the guys against javelins, against kerns, sorry, so they saved that. And against the Galaglass, it's 1 off their saving roll. Well, maximum they can have is 5, so that's what they have saving. They saved 1 of them, so actually they won. They got 2 wounds against 5 on the Mad Axeman. So 2 versus 5 is a 3 difference. So the Scots are doing a test at -3. They rolled an 8, which goes down to 5. Give ground disordered with supports. I think the English have to follow up. Keep the pressure on them, so they're going to follow up. And that is that. Right then, on to over this side. We'll start with these, because it is actually shooting phase. Because there was nothing on the right, I might as well fight them out. So we'll do the slingers against the flank of the Scottish. What's the advantage of firing into the flank? How bizarre is that? I can't find anything about flank shooting. So we'll just count it as 2 shots needing a 4 to hit. They get 1 hit. The pikeman saved it, however, so no effect. And then we'll do the combat. Oh, yeah, we might as well keep running a sequence. So we've got the archers down here who will fire at that Scottish formation. We got 3 dice. However, it's long range and also there's cover, so they're needing 6s to hit. They get 1 6. Now, normally that would be a break test, but because you need a 6 to hit, you need 2 6s if it's 6 to hit. So they will do a saving roll, which they don't make. So that's 1 casualty, first casualty on that pipe block there. So I think let's move back and do the cavalry. So the cavalry could be very nasty for the Scottish cavalry. We got 7v7. 7v7. The English are charging, so they are hitting on a 3. They're also tough fighters, aren't they? So they get a re-roll. Yeah. So they hit with all 7. They are also using a lance, so that is 5s for the saves for the Scots. They save 2 of them, so they get 5 go through. They fight back with their 7. However, they are hitting on 5s because they're shaken and they're stationary. They get nothing at all. Well, they get 1 re-roll, which does hit. Saving roll for the British, or the English, they passed. So that was 5 to 1. So the Scottish Knights lose by 4. They're also shaken, and they roll a 7. So they're down to a 3, which is a break, and they are gone. Not surprised, really. They really got in that first round where they got absolutely slammed. They've never recovered. So because the English have won, they can charge on. So the knights, the men at arms, they're not knights, can now do 2 sweeping moves. And now the rule says you're allowed to charge on effectively up to 2 moves. I don't think there's any way they could turn into the flank of these things because it has to be the front quarter. So I'm going to rule they can't. So I think what they're going to do, they're going to head this way. That's 1 move. And the second move is going to smash into, move this fella out of the way. Ooh. They're going to smash into him. So these guys will smash into here. I'd like to have got them on the spearmen, but I don't think they got a chance. I don't think they can turn quickly enough to do that. So they'll go into the heavy infantry there. Alright, let's keep going then. So we'll come back to that converted charge there. We've got the Kerns firing at the Galglass over there. 3 shots hitting on 4s. Ooh, 2 hits including a 6. Their saving is a 4. Don't save either. And it's a break test for them. But they roll a 10, so that's absolutely fine. And then up the top end there, we've got 3 Kern javelins firing, needing a 4. They hit with all 3, and none of them are saved. Phew, that was a vicious volley there. So 3 down there. Right, so we've got the continuing combat. The knights smashing into the flank. So the knights charging home have 7 dice. The heavy infantry have 7 dice as well. The knights are charging, so they are hitting on a 3. They are tough fighters, so they get a reroll, which they're going to need on that. So that's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 5 hits. The armour of the infantry is reduced down to 5 because of the lances, and they only save 1, so that's 4 hits on the Scottish knights. They fight back with their own 7 dice. However, they are at -1 because they've been hit in the flank, so they're hitting on 5s. Just the 1, or they are tough fighters, still just the 1. And a saving throw for the cavalry, they make it. So the Scottish lose by 4. They're doing a test at -4. They've rolled an 8, which is down to 4. Broke if shaken, which they are now shaken, and they have gone. Wow, that is brutal. Brutal. The cavalry can't charge on again, but yeah, that's nasty. We'll have to come back when I've had a battery change. Right, it's been a brutal fight. Now I've just looked it up, and actually I thought the Scottish this left division would be broken, but I think they've changed the rules, unless it's just another black powder thing versus a Hail Caesar thing. So it says if half the division's units are broken or leave the table shaken. I always thought it was broken or shaken on the table. So actually the Scots have only lost 2 units. But they have got an awful lot of shaken troops. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shaken of this division. In fact, there's only 2 unshaken in this whole division. So I thought that would have been a broke, but apparently not. So that's good for them. So we'll play it on. Nothing much is going to happen over there. In fact, no, there's another infantry unit over there that isn't broken. So we might as well play on for a bit longer at least. I'm going to start with this cavalry unit here. Now, it could do an initiative charge into the shaken kerns there and try and finish them off. But I think probably the more sensible thing for it to do is to try and charge these fellas here in the flank, in the existing combat. It's outside their initiative charge, so they'll have to dice for it. But I think that's the better call, frankly. So let's see if they can do it. They're going to need 2 moves, and they failed. They're going to take a CNC reroll. This time they pass. So let's just move his nibs out the way. And these guys charge, screaming across, and there's nothing English can do about it. They get hit in the flank like that. Don't know whether that's a sensible thing, but I think it makes, to me that makes sense to do, because that is no longer a threat because it's shaken, whereas this is very much a threat and could punch through and finish this force off entirely. So that's that. What else are we gonna? I'll come back with the rest of the moves in a minute. Okay, so a pretty horrible turn for the Scots here, I think. The Kerns that are over there in the woods, they tried to charge the unit of shaken Kerns that are over there. They needed 2 moves to do it. They only got 1, so they just swung round. That was as much as they could do. You probably just saw the other unit of Kerns that was over here charged the other flank of those English men-at-arms, who've now got a flank charge on both sides into them, which is not ideal from then. But then it all went horribly wrong for the Scots, because over here, I thought that was the more immediate threat, was these guys being sandwiched here. So I was trying to turn them around and send them that way, but they rolled an 11. And as you saw, I've already used the re-roll. So that failed, which meant this command has completely failed, and so nothing else moved. So the poor old spearmen just sitting there going, any orders, Governor? Anything I should do? Or they're probably doing, okay, the Governor rules. No, I didn't do that. Anyway, so that was that. So that was the end of Scottish movement. So we'll do some shooting and some fisticuffs. We've got 3 dice needing a 5 to hit. 1 hit, saving on a 5 or a 6 because of cover. Saved, did I say 1 hit? Yeah, I did. I rolled 2 dice. They passed. So they saved that hit. So no more shooting across here. No more hand-to-hand either. We'll come back to this. Actually, I think that's all we've got is melees. Oh no, we've got 1 load of shooting there. So the slingers here will fire at those Kerns there on the hill. It's long range because it's over half range. So they're rolling a 6 to hit because they're shaken and disordered. Well, they got 1. But no, it's not saved. So those Kerns are 1 over. They're going to have to take a break test. They rolled a 7. They are shaken already. Hold your ground without penalty, so that's fine. I'll take that back off again because you can never go over your odds. And then they're out of range. They're in the woods, I think. Just measure that. No, they're not actually. So 3 shots there, needing a 5 because they are partially obscured by the trees. Absolutely nothing. So we'll do the combats then. We've only got 2, but 1 very big one. So let's start with the easier one. That's the ongoing tussle up there, which I think was a complete draw, wasn't it? They fought each other to a standstill. So the scouts have 7 dice, and the men-at-arms... Oh no, because it's now sustained. So it's 5v5. Okay. Because nobody's charging, they're just standing there smacking each other as hard as they can. So they're both hitting on 5s. Yeah, both hitting on 5. So the Scottish do absolutely nothing. The English do 1. The Irish, Scottish side need to save that, which they don't. So they lose the combat by 1. They're doing a break test, 1 over. but that's absolutely fine. So that will continue next turn, but this time the English have the advantage. So we'll come back to this combat here. This is going to be complicated. So I'm going to start with the... So we've got a small unit of mounted sergeants. They get 6 dice. You've got the Galloglass, who are 7 dice because they're now sustained. 2, 4, 6, 7. And then you've got 5 dice of Kerns coming in the other side. And I've run out of dice over here. Alright, I'll do them in a minute. So the mounted sergeants are charging in. They are hitting on a 3. They're not tough fighters or anything, so no, they're just the 3 hits. The shaken and disordered Galloglass are hitting on 5s. Ooh, that's a good round. Sheesh. We've got 2, 4, 5 hits there. 5 hits. And then the Kerns coming in the other flank. They're hitting on 3s as well because they're charging. So they get 3 hits. So it's a lot of saving rolls for the English. They took 3 wounds from the mounted cavalry. So let's see whether they can save them. They are saving on 4s. They saved 2 of them, so that's 1 loss. Let's take that dice away. Against the Galloglass, who did amazingly well, still have 200 weapons, so it's 5 saves against them because that's the maximum. Saved 2 of them, so another 3 casualties, so they're up to 4 casualties. And then the 3 losses they took from the Kerns, they saved none of those, so they're up to 7 losses. The English, they fight back with 7 dice. 7 dice. 4, 6, 7. Now, they have a choice. They can put everything against the... Ooh, hang on, this is complicated. Yes, you treat it as 1 combat. So they're better off putting all their dice against those fellas there. However, they're being hit in the flank, so that's a -1. So instead of being a 3 to hit, it goes. It goes to a 4 to hit. I think I'm doing that right. They are tough fighters. Yes, they're tough fighters, so they get 1 reroll. At the moment, they're on 4 hits. 5 hits in total. 5 hits against the Galloglass. Oops. Who saved 3 of them, so they actually only take 2 losses. So 7 plays 2, which means the English lose by 5, so they'll need to do a break test at -5. That fails. They are stubborn, so they'll re-roll. Are they stubborn? Yes, they are. Oops. Don't know what that one is. Let's re-roll that one again. So 5, they're still gone. They can't survive that. They don't have Valiant, so they can't re-roll that. However, the Galloglass also need to roll because they are they're 2 over their shake test. However, they pass it, so they stay intact. So the upshot of that is the English men-at-arms are destroyed, and everything else stays exactly as it is. So these are now, so they stay on exactly the same number of wounds that they had before. And we fight on. It's another unit down for the Anglo-Irish. Now these could charge on, but I don't think they've got anywhere to charge to. I suppose they could. They've got to stay in their front arc. They could come to there and then into there. Do they want to do that? they've got a chance of breaking. I think they might do. I think they're going to risky move. They haven't taken any losses. They're going to swing round and smash into those boys there. Sorry, put that on camera. So they could swing round into there, because you can only charge into the front arc. They can only charge through their front arc. So the first move would have moved them to there, and then the second move, and they get 2 moves, would have brought them up there and smashed into there. So yeah, I think that's the way to play that, and I think we play that immediately. Pretty sure we do. So it's 7v8. 2, 4, 6, 8 for the Scottish. They are hitting on 3s. So they get quite a lot of hits there. 6 hits. The English are save and roll 4. They save half of them, which is stats, so they lose 3 losses. The English fighting back have 7 dice. 2, 4, 6, 7. 4, 6. They are hitting on a 4. Oof, they're tough fighters. They get 1 reroll, so they hit 6 times themselves. The sergeants are only saving 5s. Let's do save 3. Look at that. So 3v3 in the end. 3v3. It's a flat up draw. However, at the end of the melee, the English go shaken. Oh no, it's 3v3, so it's a flat draw. No, nobody wins that. And that is the end. That is the end of the Scottish turn. Interesting. I thought that was all going to fold up, but actually those flank charges have saved them for the moment. Although everything is shaken over here. Let's see what happens next turn with the English. Right, so we're running out of things to manoeuvre here, so nothing much has occurred on this side for the English side. Here these kerns did an initiative move backwards, which they're allowed to do because they were within 6 inches of those kerns there. So they've done that. Also the Anglo-Irish general has moved up and removed the fatigue off those kerns. I think you can do that fairly safely because everything against him is shaken. Obviously the foot knights there have been hit by the cavalry. That's everything here. And now over this side, the archers and the villagers decided that they would be better off defending the hedge line. Sorry, I should have moved forward a bit further there. So they have moved up to the hedge line to contest that against the 2 Scottish pipe blocks. Maybe not the best move, but we'll see what happens. But I think the battle is really going on around those pipe blocks more than anything else. Over here, no surprise that the rampaging Anglo-Irish knights continued their charge into the flank of the Gallo Glass here that could do nothing about it at all. I did debate throwing the kerns in frontally, but I think that would just give the Mad Axemen some more targets to chop apart. So they've stayed exactly where they are. The Anglo-Irish general moved to his Boniacs and took off a casualty, so they are no longer shaken. So we've got some shooting, and then we'll move on with the combat. So the shooting over here, we've got 3 dice of Kerns, see if they can put the pressure on those, continue to put the pressure on those other Kerns. Hitting on 4s, missed. Nothing at all. These can't shoot because that's now combat, so we'll come back to that. Now the villagers can't missile fire, so it's just the archers firing forward. They get 3 shots. They are hitting on, they're at close range, so they're hitting on a 4. They get 2 hits including a 6. The spearmen save 1 of those 2 hits, so they're now on 2 losses, and they will need to do a break test because of the 6 that they received. They rolled an 8. I thought for a minute that was a break. 8 will be stay as you are. And then we've got the two units of 2 dice of slingers also firing on the same target, hitting on a 4, missing. So that is that. Then I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the javelin men that have just lost their shake. No, they're out of range. So we might as well move on with a hand-to-hand, I guess. So the ongoing fight between the 2 lots of cavalry. This time the Anglo-Irish heavies have a slight advantage because they won the last round. They are hitting on, well, both sides get 5 dice, 2, 4, 5. Both sides get 5. So we'll start with the English because it's they're starting. They won the last round, but they are shaken, so they're hitting on 4s. 2 hits. Saving rolls for the French. For the Scottish, they fail them both, so they take 2 losses. They fight back with 5 shots, needing 5s. They get 1. The English can save, and they do save. That could be a decider. The Scottish lose that combat by 2. They roll a 7 on their break test, so that will go down to a 5. Break if shaken. So the light cavalry are gone. The English can't follow up because they are shaken themselves. So that is dead. Okay, moving across. No more combats until we get to here. So the that was a brutal fight, but it was a draw, wasn't it, last turn? So the mounted sergeants are now only getting 5 dice because they've lost their momentum into the charge. Whereas the British dismounted, or English dismounted, get 7. So there's a big advantage here for the foot knights. However, they are shaken. So the mounted sergeants, men at arms. No, they're mounted sergeants. Those fellas. They get 5 dice. They are hitting on 4s. Only the 2. Saving rolls for the infantry. 2 dice. They save 1. So they lose 1 casualty. They fight back. Oh, actually, I'm going to move that out of the way, then I can try and roll the dice. I didn't think there was any room there. So 7 dice for the foot dismounted men at arms. They are hitting on 5s. Oof. Wow. They got their eye in there. Gee whiz, look at that. And they're a tough fighter, so they get an extra reroll. I've just knocked that 5 over. And that was another hit too. So they actually hit with 6 hits. Good grief. 6 hits. The sergeants are only rallying on saving on a 5. They save 2, but they suffer 4 losses. So it was 4. Oops. 4 plays 1. So the Both will have to do a break test. No, it doesn't. So the English don't need to take a break test because they won the combat. They would have done if they were shaken and took an extra casualty. So they won by 3, so the Scots are taking a break test at -3. And they've rolled an 8, which brings them down to a 5. Break if shaken. Now they are shaken, so they have gone as well. Woof. That's a killer. That really is a killer. It could be the end of the Scottish chances here. They have lost because they were on 7 casualties there. The English still remain shaken, so they can't follow up or anything. But they did win that, even though they were smashed into. And then we've got the other combat, which is the Knights against the Gallaglass. So the Gallaglass, they get a clash of 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. This might be a mistake, the charging into these fellas here. I've said that before now. So they get 8 dice. However, they are only hitting on 5s because they were hitting the flank. But they are tough fighters. They get 1 reroll. That's useful. Or are they tough fighters? Just double check that. No, they're wild fighters, so they only get it when they charge. So, 5s to hit, wasn't it? So they got 3 hits. 3 hits against the Knights. They save on a... Well, it has to be a 5 because these are 2-handed axemen. So they don't save any of them. So it's 3 casualties on them. The Knights fighting back. 7 attacks, needing 3s. They are tough fighters as well, so they're all hits. And one of these can be re-rolled. I just re-rolled the... I've forgotten already, just like that, how many they actually... I'll have to look back. So they've... that's how many hits? 2, 4, 6 hits. I just picked up the casualty dice that I put down for the cavalry and I've forgotten what it was now. 6 hits. They are saving on... Would be a 4, but the lance makes it a 5. Still get 4. They still save 2 of them, so that's 4 losses. Was it? That was 3, wasn't it? Because it put the Knights on 6 casualties. So the Knights win by 1. Both sides are shaken. So the infantry need to do a break test. They roll a 7 down to a 6, which is an infantry give ground in good order. So they will be pushed across like that, and in their turn they'll try and turn to face the opposition. So they're on... let's find a marker or 2. 2, 4, 6 casualties and are shaken. The Knights are 1 over. Now they can't follow up because they are also shaken. With 4 casualties, because that's all because they're a small unit, they can only take 4 casualties. So, yes, that's interesting. So that's the end of the Allied Anglo-Irish turn 5. Actually, no, whatever it is, turn 6, I think it might be. So let's take stock. What have we got left? The Scots, they've got some kerns over there that are untouched. They've got their pikemen who are untouched pretty much. Well, one block is in one off being shaken, the other's okay. All those boys over there are shaken apart from one Kernish unit. They've lost all their cavalry, and there's a Kern unit there in the woods. Meanwhile, the Anglo-Irish have got, well, they're not much better shape actually. They've got a Kernish unit there that's no longer shaken. They got some slingers here, the archers and the villagers, the Bonyaks, and 2 units of Kerns left unshaken. Everything else on their force is shaken as well. I'm wondering whether to call it at this point, because the majority, I don't know, I think, no, let's play on. Let's keep going. We'll come back with the Scottish turn, whatever it is, 5 or 6, I've forgotten already. Back in a minute. Okay, so don't know what to make of that turn. Let's start with the easy things. So both units of pike have charged forward on initiative into the peasants and the archers respectively. I've just realised they can't do that. It was not great in terms of rallying this turn, so the slingers moved up to try and get a shot on the rear of the Anglo-Irish men-at-arms, because one wound will be enough for them to take a shake test. Over here, the Kerns tried to move forward to put some fire on those boys, but only got one move, so they're not in range. We tried to rally off the Gilglass, but they failed twice, so that failed they'd used the re-roll and then didn't work for them there either. Meanwhile, over here, the Kerns that are in the woods there that are actually on the Scottish force turned round, and we're going to move up and try and pepper these fellas here. So I think that's where we'll start. We've got 3 shots. They are leading 4s to hit. They get 1 hit. Could be enough. Can the cavalry save it? They save it. So no effect there for the moment. Here, let's move over to this side. So we've got a load of shaken troops here. They will fire forward. 2 shots they're shaken, and they're at beyond 6-inch range, so that's 6 to hit. It's 1 hit. These save on a 6, so they are shaken again. Keep taking off the wounds and they keep getting shaken again. Probably need to pull back, really. And then the archers here will get 3 dice, but also hitting on 6s. They get 1 as well. Ooh, this could be crucial. It's not saved, so these Kerns here will need to take a break test at -1. They rolled a 4, so that is them going to be gone. So that is another unit down. There's not much left on either side, to be honest. They're all torn and battered and unwell. So there's no more shooting here. We'll do the defensive fire for the archers as the pikemen come in. It will be 3 shots needing 4s. Wow, they get 2 5s and a 6. So the pikemen need to save that. They only save 1, so they take 2 additional losses as they come in. Plus, then we'll need to take a break test because they took a 6. But they roll a 9, so that's absolutely fine. We'll do the combats in a minute. Over here, the slingers have moved up behind the horses. It's 2 shots needing a 4. They get 1 6. Can the knights save it? They can save it, but it still is a test. They rolled an 11. They don't care about no stones. The Galaglass can't do anything. Over here we got 3 sticks being chucked. We'll be hitting on 5s because of cover. That's 1 hit, which is actually a 6, believe it or not. But it is saved. But it will be a break test for those kerns over there. They rolled a 9, however, so that's fine. So we'll move on to the melees. Well, there's only the 2 melees over here. So we've got the pikeman once again. So the comparatively fresh pike block moving forward. On the left against the archers, who haven't actually done anything either, because all they did early on was support. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice for the Scottish. Bowmen. What are the bowmen? They only get 5. So let's roll these dice. So 7 for the charge. They are hitting on a 3. Yeah, hitting on a 3. I can't really roll it in there. Well, I can try. There we go. All bar 1. So they hit with 6 hits. The English bowmen have a save of 5. They get +1 for the hedge, so 4s. Oof. They only save 1, so they get 5 hits against them. It could be curtains for the archers. Oops. They fight back with 5 hits, needing 4s. Whoa! It's a brutal fight here. They got 2, 4. I don't know. I rolled too many dice there. Let me say the English got 5. Okay, we'll call it 4 hits then. 4 hits, needing. The pikemen need 4s. Ha! They save all bar 1. So the English lose by 4. 5 plays 1. It was in the end. English lose by 4. So they're dicing at -4. They rolled an 8, which pushes back to a 4. Break if shaken, otherwise give ground disordered. That was lucky for them. That was very lucky for them. So this pike block now is up to 5 casualties. And we'll push back its opponent. We'll move on to the next one, and then we'll dice, see what happens. So the villagers only get 5 dice, and the pike block, as we know, gets 7. 7 for the pikes. They are hitting on a 3. They hit with all 7. Not good. So the villagers have no armour, no armour save. However, they are defending an obstacle, so they get a 6 save. They save 2 miraculously, but it's still 5 casualties on them. They fight back with their 5. I'm not going to reach in there. They actually get 2 hits on the pike block. Can the pikes save it? They save 1, but not the other. So another casualty on this pike block, which is now shaken, but they won by 4. So it's a break test at -4 again. They rolled 4, so the peasants, as expected, run for the hills. However, the Scottish can't follow up because they're shaken. So let's clear this up and we'll see what happens next turn. So I think I'm going to call it there, and I'm going to call it a complete draw. A brutal fight. Let's have a look at the table. So over here, the English mounted sergeants saw off the Irish light cavalry, but at some cost to themselves, and they are now shaken and stuck out there. The Kerns, which are part of the Scottish army, have swung round and are trying to get on the flank, but I think the cavalry will probably just discretionary pull away there, so they'll probably never be able to catch them. Meanwhile, in the middle, I mean, everything's shaken at the back there, and realistic would probably slink off. The remaining English foot sergeant unit is also shaken, but probably will get rallied off next turn. Nothing much left on the right here for the English. In the centre, similar story for the Scots though. This pipe block couldn't reach the archers because it had to leap over the hedge, so moved at half speed. So it's stuck there in front of the archers with slingers behind it, with one off being shaken itself. Its compatriot is also shaken. Still got the light infantry there, or the slingers there, but the Gellerglaus are in real trouble because they are shaken. They've got Kerns right in front of them, and the Boniacs are also available again. The Knights will probably just bug out away from the slingers, so that will stop them getting broken. So, and out here we've just got the two Kern groups that have just decided to mutually throw sticks at each other and just pretend they're otherwise involved. So yeah, so I'm going to call it a draw, an honourable draw, which is kind of a good thing for the first outing of these troops. I thoroughly enjoyed that, actually, really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure whether the light infantry, it'd be too light heavy, if you see what I mean, with all the Kerns and archers and slingers, but actually, because both sides had a lot of them, it balanced out, and I didn't make any of them skirmishers. Now, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. What I might do is modify the Kerns and the archers to allow them to move reasonably quickly through through difficult terrain, because at the end of the day they were good at that. But what I don't want to do is have lots of skirmishers everywhere, so I think that probably is going to be how I leave it. The dismounted sergeants were very durable, very tough, but the Gellerglaus, when they got in with their 200 axes, and same with the Boniacs, were fairly brutal in terms of cutting down. But really, it was the charge of the Anglo-Irish Knights that won, well, at least gave them a chance of winning that game. They swung round, smashed through, and took out 2 units really, and certainly the next unit, well, the Gellerglaus are about to be finished off by their foot soldiers. Honourable mention to the Scottish pikemen, who just, as I thought they would, just sort of mowed their way through anything that was in their way. And but for a few command hiccups early on for the Scottish, it probably would have gone a bit better for them, if I'm honest. But yeah, good to get the figures out on the table. Nice to, after finishing a project like I've spent the last few, well, I guess a couple of months working on, nice to actually get all the figures on the table. And it's food for thought. I think what I'll try and work out is some more scenario-based games next time. There's some interesting battles if you read some of the histories, or you know, not there's an awful lot written about this period, if I'm honest, but there's some interesting things around the very first battle where the English were ambushed in camp by actually weaker Scottish forces, and I think that might be an interesting one to fight out if I can work out a suitable scenario. But it was good to get the figures out, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give a like. As I say, if I can work out how to do it, I put the army lists up for people to download or take a look at. Any suggestions, any comments, let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe, like, share, all that sort of good stuff. And I will see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.